Hey guys, welcome back to our continued reviews of The Last of Us on HBO. We got some recent numbers. Episode 2 tallied 5.7 million viewers. That is a record for HBO. What kind of record? Well, the biggest jump from one episode to the next. It's a 22% increase from the series debut, and that is really, really good. They've never had that before in 20, 30, 40 years. No, the history of the network. So that's impressive. And episode 1 is now up to 18 million viewers. So good things are happening. They just recently announced that season 2 will be happening. Now, there's rumors of them potentially breaking it into 2, giving us multiple seasons because HBO sees the fucking numbers rolling in. They see the money, and they're probably in Neil's ear. Hey, Neil, any way you can stretch this out 5 seasons? Maybe don't do what you're going to do with Joel and Abby, or if you do it, can we milk it? So we're going to have to see, is this going to be milked as much as they can? And there was a small hope at the end of episode 3 in the after show where Neil Druckmann, out of his own mouth, says this.
My philosophy on this show has always been, when should we deviate and when should we come back? If it's kind of the same or worse, we stay where the game is. If it's better, we deviate.
So I have hope that if they're willing to change stuff, which clearly, episode 3, they changed Bill and Bill's kind of storyline from the video games, that if they are willing to change stuff, if it is done better, that we may hopefully have the moment that happens between Abby and Joel be changed for the better.
I think that's
because that's
too drastic.
what we have problems with. But you're right. I don't know. You're thinking that because it's Bill, it's a side character, fuck it, that it's not that important, so it's not too drastic of a change? Because this was a drastic change from the video games.
I think you can, like, my issues with 2 aren't what ended up happening, it's more how they happened.
Right,
and
that's
I think,
what we're saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, the changes are going to happen. It's not a drastic change to revert back from, I don't want to spoil anything.
Right, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. I think that you can absolutely film it in a way and write it in a way where even I'm going to be satisfied with how they do it. So I did get it.
That's what we have hope for. That's what we said in video games. So many people, the haters of our opinions on it, they're like, you're just mad that this and that. It's like, okay. Anyways, moving on. So before we jump into episode 3, I'd like to do a little bit of a recap. So, I check out the comments and stuff. So, Alex, the reason Joel couldn't shoot straight because his hand was broken. And they showed that several times. Because remember, his hand got broken when he smacked the previous runner.
With an assault rifle?
Yeah, and to be fair, Tess misses a lot still, too. And then we talked about the flower. Joel was on, if you saw this really cool details. Now, they spell it out in episode 3. I didn't expect them to actually spell it out. But these cool details all of y'all came up with. Joel was on Atkins. He didn't eat the cookies. He didn't eat the cake. Remember, they didn't end up getting the cake, the biscuits. You want to have some biscuits? No. And all that could have saved their lives. And they didn't eat pancakes, right? Or did they eat pancakes?
No
pancakes. So they didn't eat pancakes.
Atkins is life-saving.
Right. So here's so that was really cool. And had they made the pancakes or taken cookies from the neighbor or bought anything from the cake shop, they would have been done. So going back to the way, Alex, we're hoping for a positive change in that. Obviously, Joel's behavior in that moment. Joel telling the world who he is when he meets strangers, was stupid as fuck. So hopefully that can change if they do go with the season 2, which I think they are, and sort of diverging from the video games. Another thing, a lot of people hated the kiss, or not a lot. I'll just say a segment of people that criticized the kiss. I'd like to defend the kiss a little more. It makes sense because she isn't resisting. correct? She's already churning. So the infection and the fungus can detect that she's she's not resisting. So it just transfers the infection without all the gore. It was explained that the reason for the runner's kiss was because Tess didn't run or fight. And the infection ultimately of the goal of the infection is ultimately to spread. So if it sees a host just sitting still, it's going to calmly infect you, which is great, really, really creepy. Yeah, so I think that I like this whole tendril spaghetti like fungus. They keep showing that even here in episode 3, they do a little bit. It's done well. So I've also written out how I think the series is going to go across the 9 episodes. We'll get to that after we review the 3rd episode. So let's jump right in to episode 3. Let's start with you guys. What did you guys think?
After the last 2
Keep going,
After
Joe.
the last 2 episodes, it started picking up with all the action and everything, and this one was a change of pace, but I still welcomed it. I was like, I really enjoyed it. There's some things that I wish could have been better, but overall, I did like this episode. Very emotional. I like Nick Offerman's emotional range. I didn't know he could do that.
Motherfucker is a great actor.
He is. I really like him.
This is the biggest takeaway from episode 3 for me is that, man, these are some great acting.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one as well. Even though it wasn't as action-packed as I wanted it to be from the last 2.
Yeah, the action scene was a little awkward.
Yes.
It didn't make any sense. And this is a survivalist, and he's standing out in the middle of the street with no cover, which leads to bad things.
Yeah,
Doesn't make sense.
I think that the director they chose for this episode is insanely talented at getting people to be emotional and portraying this wonderful story. But maybe combat is not where they shine. I think that always when you change things from the original the way that it was, you have to either be at least as good or better. And I think this was amazing, right? So this was a wonderful story. Now, in a vacuum, judging because I like to judge these episodes in a vacuum because we don't have the context of the whole series yet. So on its own, this was an amazing television episode. It was insanely emotional. They told the story of 2 people surviving. I understand when people are upset about in context of the whole season, how much did this have to do with Joel? It's we did get the letter, we get some things, but I think this is just really, really good stuff. Kind of shows what it's like, and in this, post-apocalyptic world that, life does kind of continue to go on. So I do miss the opportunity because I really enjoyed Ellie and Bill exchanging barbs in the video game. I think that could have been really fun, but I don't hate that they did this. I think that they made a really, really great episode.
That nails it perfectly. I did miss the barbs between Ellie and Bill, but I think that ultimately, once again, when they diverge from the video games, if it's done better, then it's and this is the second time it's happened to an even extremer degree, and ultimately, it is better than the video game. Did you say it's better than video game? Okay, better done well.
Storytelling, yeah, for
sure. So the episode opens with. Joel and some water, and it's just really good music. Gotta give the composer his due. By the way, you guys mentioned last time I got the composer wrong. I don't know why I called him Carlos. It's not, his name's not Carlos. It's Gustavo. So gotta give Gustavo. Just love the guitars and the emotion that comes from his music, and it transfers from the video game perfectly. So. Music has been great. I do think that the change is better. I do miss the barbs. Last episode we talked about Ellie with the magazine in the truck. That funny moment. That's gone as well. There might still be a chance for that in episode 3 because they're still driving around in episode 4, still driving around in the truck. But let's just jump right into the meat of episode 3. This is essentially a complete side story. This is a love story between 2 men who meet in the apocalypse, and essentially it's a love story. I did not expect this. Apparently, the Frank character was mostly cut from the original game, and it definitely goes different. I think Bill has a little bit more of a distant relationship with Frank.
Frank hates Bill.
Frank is, and he fucks around with his truck or battery or something. He just does. They have a conflict, but yet they are partners, right? And you feel like less like they loved each other and more like it was just a convenience or whatever. I don't know, because we never really get to explore it. Here they go full on in, and I just think that it really puts emphasis on how the director and the story and the point of The Last of Us is people's stories within this fucked up world, and it plays to that perfectly here. So I also think it was done really, really, really well. Yeah. So again, the like Alex says, the action, it's like all these traps. There's a little bit of a believability issue. Do I really believe that, they could survive out there? Just one guy built an entire fucking town and all his fucking things, and then he only really deals with one runner, and he kills one runner over 10 years, you're telling
It's been
me?
like 20 or some years and only one
There's
raid.
no stage 2s. There's no stage 3s.
Come on.
Come on. And then the Raiders, this idea, Joel at one point even tells Bill that, this is an amazing place, but you're going to eventually deal with thieves and raiders. And he does, and they show that. But again, once a year, one time. And it's very easily taken care of. And Bill does stupid things in order to get himself hurt, which does not tie in with his survivalist. So I do think that there's some issues there. And then me personally, I didn't really care so much about Bill's character and Frank's character in the games. So I didn't really care to see Bill and Frank in this amount. I kind of want to continue the story of Joel and Ellie, but I know that there's plenty of time for that. But what I'm saying is, pacing-wise, it's like I spend so much time away from them with these. Don't really care about these two, at least not me. I think it's a wonderfully done love story. Have no problem with it. These are two gay men as well. I'm sure maybe mass audiences or religious people are like, it's a damn shame, because they're like, wow, HBO, everybody's like, yeah, let me check this out. The first episode they turn on is, what is this crap? This goes against God, and fuck this, and fuck. And now you're probably going to have some controversy, and you're probably going to have some people. Anytime something is super popular, then you're going to have haters, try to attack it, right? When 10 out of 10s are handed out like candy, I've seen this happen in the Elder Scrolls series. So I'm sure all that is coming because of the way they chose to depict this. And they don't hold anything back. It is just a touching relationship between two people. We don't give a fuck what the genders they are here. So, and it was perfectly done, great acting, tears, emotion, believability. Except for the whole 10 years of...
Well, also standing in the middle of the street and,
Right.
and like having 9 people shoot at you all. It's like, oh, come on. But I think it was great. I'm not upset about the side story, but I could be. And what I mean by that is... I got after I got done watching, I was like, wow, that was really good. And I was like, man, Tess got done a little dirty.
That's what I was thinking.
Because if this takes time away from Tess...
Well, because Tess died, and I was expecting to feel something for Tess dying, and I was like, look, I was
mentioned
sad
that
because a
last time.
character died, but most of it was my relationship with her via the video games.
game, yeah.
And this, it's like when Bill and Frank died, I was crushed. I
Way
was like,
more Tess.
and I was like, holy shit, they really can do this. It's like, wait a minute, why'd you do this with Tess? So I'm not mad about this episode yet, but at the end of episode 9, if they start rushing through shit that I really want to see them like explore, I may look back on this one and go, in a vacuum, this could be the best episode of the whole series because it was truly amazing for me. But I wonder, like, am I going to be upset at the end? That's like, this kind of took time away from some of the other stuff that I think is a little bit more important.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's jump into the final verdicts, and then we'll go into the episode breakdown and spoiler section. Joe, what do you think about episode 3? Now, previously, I don't remember your ratings. I gave episode 1 a 9, but then retroactively brought it up to a 10. Episode 2 was a 10.
I think I gave that one a 10 as well.
You did. I remember that one. So, episode 3, what did you think?
I'm gonna go ahead with the 9. I really liked it. I liked the storytelling on this one, but again, I did have my faults or some of my problems with this one. Was like the believability is like only getting attacked very rarely, and the way he did it, I was like, "What are you doing? You're like a survivalist."
Rambo.
It's for drama. It's for forced drama.
It is for
and
forced drama,
If
but
you
at
want to
the same-
depict it, you could depict it just the same way. I mean, he's
Exactly.
firing from a window and he takes a shot in the fucking shoulder.
Yeah, it's like,
fine.
again,
Come
this is like
on.
out of character. It's
Don't
like,
make him an idiot.
It's like, this is out of character for Bill. It's like, look, you've done this before with Joel. Fix that.
Yeah.
You can fix that. I still liked everything.
Just a small complaint. Me too.
Yeah,
Me too,
yeah,
Joe. I'm
but-
going to go also with a 9 out of 10. I'll jump right in since you took my rating.
I'm actually going to change my last week's score from a 10 to a 9, and I think I'm going to give this one a 10. I think that this is like... This is an episode, again, like I can absolutely see myself being upset that this episode exists if they short the rest of the season. But I think that on its own, this is the best episode of the season. I think it was really, really... They made me care about characters that, honestly, in the game, Bill's kind of a piece of shit. Frank is not really
Bill. Frank is not a thing.
He's not really a character, and so they took these side characters, and it's like, look, if you can tell stories like this and make me care about these characters, then I think that this is really good TV.
That bodes well for future characters.
For sure. Again, it makes me watching this going, man, they did Tess dirty, and that's the only reason I'm like, last one was a 9.
That's why
instead.
you went from 10 to 9 there and from here.
Yeah.
Because you want to see more of this and less of that.
Well, I want to see this level of amazing, like they're evoking emotion in a way that a lot of TV shows just simply don't. Like, I'm rewatching Andor again, watching that final episode. Like, there's emotion there, and you don't get that a lot in just like mass-produced crap TV. And so, like, this episode was special, and it made me realize that the last episode could have been a little bit more special. So I think this one's a really good one.
All right, 10 out of 10. Excellent. All right, so let's jump in. Oh, so let me give you what I think the breakdown is. So episode 1, I think, is the intro. Episode 2, you got the roaming, you got Firefly Base, and you got Tess. Episode 3, Bill roaming around, acquiring the truck. That happened. Episode 4, I'm thinking the scavengers, Henry and Sam. Okay, so if they did Bill and Frank justice, let's see if they do Henry and Sam justice. The bridge. Episode 5, we'll get Tommy, Jackson, Joel finally wanting to take Ellie. That's when the whole thing kind of happens. And then, with all those fucked up things. Oh, no, that's going to be later. So that's good. And then episode 6, you got the Firefly Hospital, and you'll have Joel's injury. Episode 7, Ellie will be taking care of Joel because Joel got injured in the last one. And then this is where Ellie gets captured, I think, in about episode 7. And that way, that gives us the last 2 episodes. Joel in episode 8, that's Joel and Ellie sort of escaping those fucked up cannibals, and Ellie's, kind of traumatic moment, and Joel, rescuing her. And then episode 9 is the whole cure thing, hospital with, and then Joel's decision to, we are in spoiler section, so that's how I think those things are going to play out, and we'll see, how it comes to pass. So
I'm almost predicting I'm going to be very upset with how they're going to end this.
Episode 9
to justify changes in season 2,
okay.
Because I think that after playing 1 directly into 2, there's a pretty big change.
it's a fucking retcon.
Yeah, it's what they're doing.
Not really retcon, but
it's like there's all of these people that are going to carve up a teenager that is not willing. She's not offered. She's just like, no, we're going to kill you. And we're not sure it's going to have a cure. We're not they don't know any of that stuff. Now, Neil has said that it would, but the characters don't know that. They're going to carve up a child, and not a single person like Joel doesn't say anything about it. And I think that they're going to definitively say, she is the cure. You're taking this away from us in order to set up the motivations for season 2. I hope
to
not.
make them stronger in their minds.
I hope not.
So, actual episode breakdown. So, after we get the good music opening in Joel's hand, Ellie says, "Don't blame me for something that's not my fault." And instead of sorry, he thought she was going to say sorry about the whole test thing. No, she's tough. She's a tough girl. It's not my fucking fault.
Yeah.
And so then they do a 5-hour hike through the woods. Some beautiful shots, beautiful wilderness shots looking straight out of the game. We love when our games are adapted like this perfectly. So Ellie says, you suck at shooting. So we get a little bit of reference to what Alex was talking about last episode. Suck at shooting. And, we get a little discussion of his scar, how he got the scar. He goes to a gas station where, he's a scavenger, right? So he's got some stashes. He went to a stash. She finds a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade game. I'm like, fuck yeah, because that game is fucking sweet. But she's never played. She's only heard stories of what it's like. And so it's like, God, yeah. So you get that whole, whoa, cool, Ellie video game things, but she can't play them because, they're, unless she can find some batteries or power, then again. So that's cool. They got that Ellie personality in there. So while Joel is fucking around with his stash, Ellie finds a basement, and she finds an infected. And this is an interesting, creepy scene. It was good. Ellie is, I don't know, just fucking...
It's curious.
And
what are these things? And
cuts his fucking face open to see the fucking fungus and shit, and then just stabs him to show that, Ellie is not your typical... little girl with ponies and fucking glitter. She's a product of her environment, and I like moments like this that there's really no dialogue. It's just the characters and how they react in situations. Mm-hmm. One thing that's fucking Joel does something stupid. I don't understand why. He's like. He leaves his fucking M4 behind. He's like, and I was like, what's the reason for that? He's, there's not much ammo for this thing. So
it's not like you're walking to a guy who collects guns and would absolutely trade you a bunch of supplies for that gun, probably. I mean,
I don't know why they needed to do that. Why? I guess it was just, we got to write in a reason that he's no longer carrying the gun. For why? And there's a full magazine. The soldier is not going to walk around with an empty magazine.
Well, he shot it a bunch of times in the museum, but he still should have.
I know why, and it's the other small little annoying thing. We're just talking nitpicks because we obviously 10 out of 10, 9 out of 9 out of 10. One other nitpick is this constant, Ellie wants a gun, Ellie wants a gun. It's awesome in the video game. It's funny and cool. It's done maybe twice, maybe, Here, they do it like fucking 5 times. They keep ringing this bell so that later on when he finally gives her a gun, it's a big moment. But they're doing it too much. Ding, 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 ding. Because she's like... And I think that was the purpose of putting the gun there. She's like, well, if you're just going to leave it there, can I have it? Now, that's the 3rd time, because in the previous episode, she asked for a gun, I think, once or twice. She asked for a gun once as they're walking, and then she asked for a gun again during when he puts the M4 away. And she's not done. There's going to be more. It's like, you're doing a little too much. He says there's not much ammo, so he leaves it behind. Bullshit. Anyways, she's fascinated by planes, and you get the promo shot that we've got in still image, this plane that had crashed, and it's cool because he's like, yeah, I was in one before. It's like it's not that great. And she's like, what, you got to be in the sky? And it's like from that perspective, yeah, it'd be fucking cool as shit. So I like that. And then we get this scene where we get a description, a very long, in-depth talk about day one, about the origin, stuff that we didn't think that they'd go into that much detail because it's kind of fun to piece things together for yourself. Here, they motherfucking spell it out. First off, she does a monkey origin reference to pandemic and outbreak rather. Sorry, but here no, they're like they spell it out. It's bread, it's cereal, it's sugar. So all the people that were like looking at the details got confirmed in this episode. They feel good about their brains. People ate it all across the world. December 26th, right, 2003. And by Monday, because this was probably started about on a Wednesday, by Monday, everything was gone. It had happened. So as they're walking, Joel didn't. What did y'all think about that explanation? I thought it was fine. I mean, we didn't really want them to go too much. We're done. We're done with it at this point.
Use your imagination. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
No more explanation. We're done. Let's move on. Mm-hmm. And that was the right amount, probably a little extra for mass audiences. Maybe they felt the need to explain it and to separate themselves from zombies. I don't know. But anyways, Joel doesn't want Ellie to see what's up ahead. Joe, what's up ahead?
Dead bodies. The government lied to people.
Yep. Mass fucking
said, hey,
graves.
we're going to take you somewhere safe. But if we don't have room for you,
ta 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 ta, just fucking executing people like
And
fucking
babies.
Nazis.
There was a
in
baby
Germany.
skeleton.
It's a baby skeleton. The clothes are waving in the wind, and then boom, flashback. It's those two are alive. I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this. Okay, fine. But we don't really do it. It's more they are from the same city that Bill was, and they're being evacuated while Bill's like, nah, fuck you, and he stays underground because he's afraid of the government, and he's one of those types. Well, it worked out for him because he's watching on monitors that they left. And so at this point, he grabs a bunch of items after everybody's gone. He's doing some looting, some scavenging, some prepping, cooking for himself, some goddamn fucking gourmet meals. Jesus Christ. Fucking delicious. And he basically does everything in this city, makes this entire city his own. Now, I know in the video game, he's like, now get the fuck out of my town, but I didn't know he literally meant it was his town, because that's what they did here in the show. It's literally his town. And so, believability, do I think a survivalist can do it? Sure, over months, but I think you need a little help, and he'd be fighting a lot more. But we kind of comb over a lot of those, and maybe there was more fights, but they're just focusing on this story. So, eventually, what happens? Alex.
Frank falls in a hole.
This guy shows up.
Yeah, a Baltimore QZ was completely overrun. I mean, and that's something that that kind of been talked about a lot in this, is that people are doing shit that they're not supposed to be doing in the QZs all the time. Hell, that's how Ellie got bit in the first case. And so it happened in Baltimore. He was trying to escape and go to Boston. He fell in the hole. And
this is 4 years later, by the way. So he's got a city for 4 years.
Yeah, and so he makes sure that he's not a zombie, and then brings him inside for a meal because he feels bad. He's probably also super fucking lonely, and makes him a wonderful meal: rabbit, root veggies, and Beaujolais. And then, of course, they fall in love, as you would, I guess. And they live happily ever after until they don't.
Yeah, he gives him a shower, gives him food, and he's gonna leave. But before he leaves, kind of combed over, he plays the piano, but he's fucking terrible. And Bill's like, "You son of a bitch, let me show you this." And Bill's very good, and through various, I don't know, googly eyes and signals, I think that they realizes he's gay, and then he's also gay, and then he's like, "So who's the girl you were singing about there when he was doing the thing?" He's like, "There is no girl," and he was like, "I know." And he kisses him, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So we got two big hairy dudes getting it on in the middle of the episode. Didn't quite expect it, and he goes, they goes down on this thing. They go into depth here, and then but we do get a flash forward here 3 years later. So then this is 7 years from the outbreak, 3 years of them being together, and they're fighting like a married couple. Any married couple about what are they fighting about? I don't know. Tidying up the town, tidying up their house. I want to fix up the boutique. I want to do this and that. So typical couple
They would have
stuff.
run out of wine in 20 years. I would have run out of wine in 2 years.
I'm going to assume, and that the same meal he cooks him, I'm going to assume that in between there, they were eating Spam and a lot of shit. They saved those for special occasions. But I don't know. This little talking back and forth, a little couple spat, it gets almost kind of parody territory for me. It's just almost too much. Because we're going to have friends, and it's like, what? We're not going to have friends. This is what, you would think that they would have run into people by then, but I guess not. But the first people they run into is Tess and Joel. How do they get to them? Well, over the radio, you heard a woman's voice, and that's Tess. So they kind of made this deal. They need items from QZ, and they have items that they don't have, so they're going to do a little bit of an exchange. But, Bill doesn't trust Joel. He doesn't trust him. He doesn't like people. He just wants him and his love, and they're done. But Joel offers him 10 spools of aluminum because his fucking gate is going to, And I thought to myself, number one, that gate is not going to protect from shit because you just drove through a gate, getting all your scavenged materials. So somebody could do that very easily. But he says, your gate's going to rust, so we'll get you 10 spools of aluminum. So he kind of allows it and now forms a relationship with Tess and Joel. That's where you get the signals of the 80s, 70s, 60s music meaning different things as they trade with each other. So we get another. Joel, before he leaves, though, warns him about raiders. Then we get another love scene of strawberries. So he surprises him by picking strawberries, and they eat the strawberries, and they're in love. Then the raiders attack. And this was the kind of dumb part because Frank wakes up as people are being flamethrowered, which is fucking sweet. But it is raining quite hard, so I guess maybe they'd be put out pretty easily by their friends. But it still would have motherfucking hurt. There's minefields, I guess, going off, and Bill is already out there. Because I was like, where's Bill? Because he's like, Bill. And I'm like, what, is Bill going to be asleep? That would be dumb as fuck. And they did the right thing. Bill is already engaged in combat.
But they did it wrong.
But they fucked it up because when the camera walks out there, he's out in the fucking middle of the street just randomly shooting at people. It's like, Bill, you don't have any idea how many there are. You don't have any what direction. Even us. I mean, Bill clearly is not a gamer because we know you need to take cover. Otherwise, your units will be killed. But Bill doesn't understand this, and so he gets shot in the fucking stomach. And they managed to kill all of the raiders.
Yeah, because he said the fence will finish the rest of them.
The fence will dance a damn good fence. It is electrified. They did show one guy getting fucked up by it, and that would suck in the rain too. So, but finally, he brings Bill in, and it looks like Bill's gonna die because he's taking a kind of a gut shot there. And he's like, "Call Joel. Joel will take care of you." And Frank's like, "Yeah." And then we get a fade out. And then when we fade in, it's a little confusing because Bill's all right. So I guess Frank did the good nurse job. But it's Frank who's fucked up. And she's like, what the fuck is happening? This is 10 years later. Frank is in a wheelchair and Bill is okay. And I don't really know if I buy that they lived out there this long, and they're all old men, and they're doing old men things, loving old men things with each other, but it's like, I need a little bit more explanation. Because the one time there was one runner, he was like, yeah, keep coming, and then, I don't know, a tree does a shotgun blast to the runner. I guess all the shotgun blasts are highly accurate. But yeah, so then I didn't expect a full Bill episode is what I'm saying.
Yeah, this was the point of the episode. I was like, wait, something's going on here because Bill's too old to be looking for a car battery, to go to the church, do all the things that, that Bill does in the video game. It's like, oh, what's happening? We're going to do like a weird flashback. What's going on here? So they just decided that part of the video game, which I think is kind of, this was good, but like parts of the video game sequence were kind of important. Like it really kind of lets you know like who Ellie is and some of the other.
What I think it does, one thing I'll say for the video game version, which I think this version is better, but it makes the world feel more dangerous.
Yeah.
Because Bill is like already, there's constant tension. It's like this is a relationship of need because of the fucked up situation, and sometimes you'll do fucked up things to each other because of the world and the situation. Here, just wine, fucking constant steaks and
grow your own garden, nothing to worry about.
One runner, you're making the world seem less dangerous.
Yes.
And that's the only thing that takes away from it. But I guarantee you they're going to go swing that needle way back. They needed to swing that needle to tell this love story. I'm like, oh, whatever. I don't like love stories that much anyway, whether it's between a man or a woman or a man or man. I don't give a fuck. It's just love stories to me. Like, whatever. If it's done well. And
if that was the case, just stay there.
Yeah, I prefer.
As soon as Joel got there, it's like, wait, Bill's dead? I'm living here.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
Everything's fortified.
There are
You're
no
done.
Barely
We're good.
any raiders show up. No clickers. Done.
Maybe we'll get a few more people because I'm a little smarter than that. But yeah, sure. Anyways, so we just wanted to mention that. Anyway, he says, that's my last day. Why does he tell him this? What's going on here, Alex? Explain this to us.
I mean, he's got some sort of terminal illness. It could be MS, ALS, cancer, something. He's wheelchair bound, and he's just unhappy and doesn't want to be alive anymore. And so there's like, we're going to do this one last thing. We're going to walk around. We're going to get put on suits. We're going to get married. You're going to cook me dinner.
Yeah, he has cancer. You said that right. I think it's alluded that he has cancer. And there's not exactly door-to-door MRI salesman, which I thought was a funny joke. So.
Yeah, and so
So he wants to get married.
Yeah, so they put on some suits. They get married. They have dinner and they poison the wine.
Yeah, he tells him how to do it. He's like, I can't. He's like, do you love me? He's like, yeah. And he's like, then, do this last thing for me. So great acting. He's kind of wheeling him down Main Street and put a rings on his finger, marries him. It just focuses. I know what they were trying to do here. They're trying to focus on the story about people in this world. And so they do that. And then he does the drink mixing, but it turns out that he already mixed all the shit in the bottle itself.
Stolen from the Princess Bride.
So that must have mean that he gave his lover a double dose of fuck. Unless all that shit was fake, I don't know. So
Yeah.
they gave him a double dose. He took a dose himself, and he's like, I got nothing to live for. Fuck it. Let's just go. And he's like, oh well, that's fucked up. I should be mad at you, but it's kind of romantic. So they changed that story from the game. It takes a risk, but here I think it ultimately pays off, minus the danger of the world. So Bill leaves behind, and in this universe, Bill helps them. Bill owed, in the game, Bill owed Joel a favor, and Joel needs him to help him build a battery and get the truck. And they go and they find that the truck has already been looted that Bill was going to fix. And then he's like, fuck. So then they go to Frank's house. Frank has already hung himself. Frank has a truck, but the battery isn't there. And he's like, motherfucker. But then the battery is in the fridge, and they fix it up. And then Bill helps him fix the battery. And then Bill's like, all right, we're square. Get the fuck out of here. And he's like, what I tell you? Don't touch that shit. So the back and forth with Ellie was pretty fun. And then Bill's like, get the hell out of my town. I think Bill survives. I don't really remember the end of Bill's story, so I think Bill's still out there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in the universe why they don't go back, because if you have like this little 2-person paradise existing in the world, like people are gonna want to go live there.
Yeah.
So now in the show, there's this paradise, and so yeah.
Who's gonna feed the rabbits?
Maybe tell
Lenny. Who's gonna take care of the rabbits?
Gonna tell somebody about this? No, it was done for story purpose.
Yep.
So anyways, Ellie reads the letter, and he leaves behind keys and to the truck and a letter. And men like you and me protect those we love, keep Tess safe, which we really get to see how Joel was broken up. He yet again failed to protect his daughter, failed to protect his love. And this is another great change. We get more Joel emotion than from the video game. In the video game, that didn't happen. This happens. It drives him further to ultimately where we know Joel to be. I'm going to protect Ellie, and I'm going to motherfucking kill anybody that tries to get to Ellie. So I think that is improved. Then she does the gun thing yet again. She finds a gun in Bill's house, and then this time she hides
before
it.
that, she looked at the wall.
Oh, yeah, she's like,
look
"Can
at
I
all
have
these
one?"
guns. Can I take
Did I get one?
No.
No.
It's like, Joel, are you gonna take them? He's like, no.
No, I'm an idiot.
Why would I ever need guns?
That's so stupid.
What are you
I'm
doing?
getting a little upset because they've done so well in the previous 2 episodes about making sure to take guns, right? And I called that out.
Take
So we're
as
going to call it out
many
when
as
we
you
see it here.
can.
Then she does the gun thing now again after the letter. This time she finds a random pistol in a drawer, and then she sticks it in her backpack.
Yeah.
And that's going to be Chekhov's gun. So later on, Joel's going to be like, I'm going to die. Pop. Well, where did that come from? And it's Ellie. Anyways, so they both take showers. They clean themselves up, and then they jump in the truck. And instead of finding a dirty magazine, she finds a tape. And it's Linda something. I'm not familiar with this artist. Anyway, she plays it, and she doesn't really like the music, but better than nothing. Joel likes the music, but she didn't like it. So, yeah. So then there's after the episode, we get this after episode thing where Neil Druckmann says, and it gives me small hope for The Last of Us Part 2 that he can change the way Joel acts before he dies, though change Abby's motivation or change whatever the situation may be in order to improve that story. So he says, if we're going to deviate, I don't have a problem with deviating so as long as it's better. And so I'll take that, and I'm wondering, does Neil have pure fucking hubris that because he's so sensitive
Like, I
about
did
everybody
this.
giving him shit over his decision in The Last of Us 2, if he's just going to keep it completely unchanged, just to be like, take that, you fucking assholes and weirdos, and then they'll lump people who have legitimate criticisms in with the assholes and weirdos and woke it's bad weirdos, that kind of shit. Or can he actually be like, oh, well, yeah, let's depict this in a better way. So I have hope for that. We'll see. Because now he's got HBO in his ear. He's got, his co-writer. So all of these things can potentially be better. What do y'all think?
I hope so. I hope they make it more into Joel's character, make it more believable. Because right now, not looking forward to it.
It'd be super easy to do. I mean, it's
actually, this makes it even more tragic if they don't end up doing it. Because they've proven to us that they could do better from the video games. Change something from the video games to make it better. So if they purposefully don't do it, that's going to hurt even more now.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it when we did the review. It would be like Tommy and Joel are in such incredible danger when they first meet Abby. If Tommy thinks that Joel is dead, something falls on him, and he goes, Joel! That's a reflexive thing. That's not like, hey, my name is Joel. This is my brother Tommy. This is where we live, and this is my social. It's like, it's pretty much what happened. Like, there's so many believable ways to present this information. They just chose to do absolutely none of them.
The worst way.
And I also need to see a scene where Joel actually kind of, like, I know that he's not the guy to, like, fight for Ellie, but he needs to present his case because he didn't do that in the second one where he's like, why didn't you let me save the world? It's like, because they were going to cut you up without your consent.
Let me explain why I did this. Let me explain why your father is a piece of shit.
Yeah, and so it's like all, like, I was talking with Ellie. He didn't fight Ellie at all. She's like, because Ellie's mad at him. He's like, I could have saved the world. It's like, well, the Fireflies were also dicks.
Yeah.
This is a case of where it's like there's the Nazi fascists, and then the Fireflies were blowing up also innocent people. Neither of them are good. It's
we'll
not
see.
like
we'll see how they go into that. And I guarantee they're gonna they're gonna do a little bit of that with the Fireflies because there's good tension there. There's good. Reflection on humanity and stuff, and shades of gray rather than black and white, which I think is the point. So we'll hold out hope for that and see how that works out. As for, there were people who didn't like the fact that Joel died at all. They wanted Joel to last longer. Now, I do agree with Joel lasting longer because the point of it is to play as Joel a little bit more. Maybe we will get more Joel, could be one path. But ultimately, I think Neil thinks that he's not going to keep Joel alive. Joel is going to eventually die. And it's just, in what way will he? And because that has to do with characters, Ellie's character growth. Now, the way Ellie handles Joel's death, that could perhaps that change with the guitar at the end, or will it's all interesting stuff. And so far, the show has been doing very good. So, looking forward to next week with Henry and Sam and how they handle that storyline. So, yeah. Guys, we're really enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Let us know. Do you agree with this? What would you rate it? And thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye guys.